Welcome to Raising Vibrations, you're Simon. So in today's video, what I'm going to share with you is what I define as one of the most important things needed for you to find your way and place in this world as we're moving onwards. Now, before I jump into this video and share all of that with you, I'm just going to quickly recap the first two videos, okay? So I spoke to you about how, a lot of people are finding it really difficult to maintain a sense of inner stability in these changes, and why we need a complete perspective shift to not only gain a sense of clarity, but also be able to know how to navigate ourselves. And then I began to show you how to connect to the Promethean perspective, how to integrate that, okay? So if you haven't watched those two videos yet, I do actually encourage you to go back and watch them first, because there is information in there that's going to help this video have a little bit more context and also make it clearer for you. All right. Now, what I'm excited to share with you is something that can be truly healing and really empowering for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an exercise, and this is going to help you connect and recognize your inner voice of authority. Now, in order for this to make a lot more sense, I feel it's important for us to actually understand how a disconnect took place, right? And like I said, why is it important for us to be able to reclaim this connection to ourselves? So the first thing that we're going to start off with is that we need to recognize that when we're younger, okay, we needed to maintain a sense of connection to our caregivers or parents, right? Whoever's looking after us. As children, this is a fundamental survival need. Without it, we cannot survive. All right. And then we also actually have a connection to ourselves. Right? We have this need to be able to know how to connect with ourselves, because this gives us the opportunity to know what we feel. And so we can actually act upon that and express that. So in the most recent, or should I say up until the most recent evolution, right, we've actually lived in symbiotic relationship with nature. So before we constructed these societies that we're now living in and all of the predictability that entails, we actually relied on this connection to ourselves, right? We used our intuition. We knew how to trust our gut feelings. So being disconnected from that is actually detrimental to our ability to navigate. And it's also fundamentally threatens our survival. You see how that works there. So we have these two essential survival needs, one connection to ourselves and the other to the authority or the caregiver or the parent when we're younger, okay? Now, what do you think happens as a child when your connection to yourself and what you feel and know to be true, okay, threatens the connection to the parent or to the authority? You maintain the connection and you disconnect from yourselves, right? This is a biological process. And in our modern societies, we've actually also needed to adapt at an increasing rate to the rhythms and the frameworks and how these structures dictate the pace of our lives. So by existing in these structures, they also then begin to condition the connection to them as opposed to ourselves. In other words, the society structures replace our connection with ourselves. So now what you have is, instead of people actually seeking connection inside of themselves and knowing how to direct themselves from the inside out, we're walking around and people are looking for it outside of themselves, right? Externalizing the authority. What to do, where to go, what should I do, how should I do this, right? Now, in video 1 and video 2, remember, I said to you that this is becoming unreliable because these structured societies and the way that we've been able to actually depend on them are, like I said, becoming unreliable. They're breaking down. So our ability to actually know how to navigate ourselves and rely on ourselves is something that's becoming more and more evident. The lack thereof of our ability to know how to do this. So what do you think we actually need to be able to thrive and survive in these changes? We need to be able to know how to read our inner compass, and we need to be able to know how to rely on the connection with ourselves. You see where the survival comes in here as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do our exercise now. And what I invite you to do is just pay attention to, or like, go back to a time, should I say, and recognize a clear discord between your inner sense of what you knew to be true and felt was correct for you, and messages that were coming from the outside, like information or even your own conditioned thoughts that were in opposition to that. Right? And this could have been last week or, just when you were younger. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now, close your eyes and pay attention to, the first memories that show up for you. And so what you'll probably find is where you've been saying no to yourself and yes to other people. You may have done this because you felt obligated to, or maybe you felt guilty otherwise. Okay. Or maybe you didn't even know how to say no, right? Or you didn't have the courage to say it, right? But just what you want to do is you want to recognize that inner voice, and that even though it's buried under, a lot of conditioning and it's been repressed, that voice that you've recognized is your inner compass. Okay. So by recognizing that, you're able to now see that there is something within yourself that is operating outside of the conditioned perspectives and points of views and information that you may have been conditioned through judgment or guilt to suppress. So the beautiful thing about that inner voice is that it doesn't actually go away. We just stop listening to it because of this. So what I want you to do, or encourage you to do over the next few days, is just really pay attention to when you say no to yourself and yes to somebody else. Just want you to notice the discord that takes place between your inner reality and the outer one. And what I want you to do here is begin shifting your awareness away from the outer reality and other people and more towards your inner reality, okay, your inner space. And so, a few examples of what that could actually look like is when you don't want to do something, or when you want to say no, when something or somebody makes you uncomfortable. You just really want to be noticing this discord. Another few examples can be when something you're told doesn't, feel right or true for you. When you can't relax or be yourself in a certain place or around certain people. Now, even though you're not or may not be able to act upon that no in the moment, that's completely fine, because what we're doing here is we're beginning to recognize, firstly, that you're being guided by something that's inside of yourself as opposed to something outside, and that you are aware of that, right? By being able to recognize that and understand that you're being guided from something else that is inside of you is a huge step in this process, because this is how we begin to reclaim this inner voice of authority. Okay. Now, if you got a lot of value in what I'm sharing with you today, Jen and I are actually going to be very soon launching the Awaken Your Inner Truth course. And what we're going to be doing there is actually supporting people in being able to reclaim and recognize that inner voice of authority. Okay, so stay on the lookout for that, because this course is going to be the most up-to-date and relevant program that we've ever actually created. So the one thing that I do need to let you know is that we are wanting to support to the best capacity possible. So we're only going to be opening this up to a limited amount of people, okay? So in the description below or in the comments section, you'll see a link to the early bird waitlist. And all you really need to do is just put your email on the early bird waitlist. And what will happen is the day before the course actually launches, you'll get a registration link to the course, okay? So you can reserve your spot there. All right, so this is that for today's video. Thanks very much for listening, everybody. And what I'll be doing in the next video is like supporting you and showing you our entire process. So the complete plan of how we support people to maintain a sense of inner stability and clarity of direction. So it's going to be going from the start to the end. We're going to be walking you through step by step throughout the whole process and how we use the Promethean perspective to support people to maintain a sense of inner stability in these times. Okay. All right. So that will be released in the next few days. Okay. So stay on the lookout for that. All right. Okay, everybody. Thanks very much for listening and have an amazing day. And I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.